So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you three groups of entrepreneurs. They are in different business verticals, but they have much in common. They have the talent, they have the energy, they have the drive, and they have the courage. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the first, Phosphorus Media. Our first guest is 25-year-old graduate of Ryerson's Radio Television Arts program. During his studies, he found his own interactive media company, Phosphorus Media, and today he is quickly gaining a reputation across North America as a truly innovative problem solver. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jonathan Ingham.
Thank you, Sheldon. Good afternoon, everybody. It's so nice to see familiar faces. Doug Wilson, President and CEO of Sony Canada, thank you very much for coming today. I just want to start with a very quick story of how I started Phosphorus Media. I started Phosphorus in part to a very successful bet. When I was in university, I was convinced that one day Virgin Radio would be a dominant brand here in Canada. I want to bring it. So, at the beginning, I bought virginradio.ca, the domain name, and soon I started streaming Virgin Radio UK through that site. 2 years later, I found out that Astral Media acquired the rights for the Virgin brand in Canada. They got in touch with me, and we did the deal for the domain name. Virgin Radio, like you all know, I'm sure, is a dominant brand in Canada. So the proceeds from that actually provided me with my original seed money for what Phosphorus is today. At Phosphorus Media, we have a knack for creating very cool little utilities and interactive media that enhance not only and engage the customer experience. Our products intentionally blur the line between the transfer of information and entertainment. Some are really, really complex, and some are quite simple. While I was in school, I was messing around with interactive technologies, interactive floors, walls, storefront windows, just to give some context of what it was all about. Create a couple demo videos and then a website, and sure enough, I got a call. I was contracted to go down to New York by L'Oreal, a $25 billion global cosmetic company who is celebrating their 100-year anniversary with a new product launch. What they want to do is essentially create an interactive runway for a massive publicity event. Essentially, the runway moved and manipulated as models walked down this runway. The job was absolutely massive pressure. L'Oreal said to me that if this doesn't work, you're never working with L'Oreal again. If this does work, then we're going to take this on a series of hair and beauty trade shows throughout the US. So after 2 days of long hours, we got it to work, and nonetheless, they ended up touring across a series of hair and beauty trade shows, and here are a couple of images of what it looked like. They absolutely loved it, and apparently L'Oreal still talks about this interactive runway even to this day. The next job I want to talk to you about is something, an interesting little application that we did for Matrix, which is actually a brand underneath L'Oreal. What they want to do is create something for their trade show environment. As we all know, trade shows are highly competitive, and everybody wants eyeballs and attention in their booth. They knew they wanted a touchscreen, but they weren't sure what they actually wanted. So our goal and our job was to come up with the content and with the interface. So let me just show you what that looked like very quickly. This is what we developed for them, what we called the Matrix Looks Cloud, where essentially users could come up to this touchscreen and navigate this 3D space with their finger. Profile shots or hairstyles would seemingly come out of nowhere, come into focus, and users could touch a hairstyle that they liked, and they could learn how to achieve that hairstyle and with what products were used. So it was a bit of a novelty application, but the app had one very specific goal. If you were in another trade show booth or you were 300 feet away and you saw somebody playing with this, you'd be compelled to go over and take a look at it. And that's exactly what happened. Matrix absolutely loved this application, specifically because it was exactly on brand with what they were trying to do. Innovative products, innovative technology, and this screen basically echoed what they were all about. This application toured through a series of hair and beauty trade shows in the States as well, and was a major focus at their St. Louis trade show booth. Apparently, St. Louis is a big deal for hair. I'm not too sure, but anyway. Another job that I want to talk to you about very quickly is a recent one we did for better connecting conference speakers with live audiences. Our client was Yahoo, the internet pioneer based out of California. Yahoo was holding their global sales conference in Las Vegas, and this was very interesting because this was their first time their new CEO, Marissa Mayer, was speaking in front of her global sales team of 1,400 people. What she wanted to do is make the Yahoo presentation as interactive as possible. So here's what we did. We created a mobile application where everybody downloaded it in advance of the conference. And essentially, the speakers on stage could pose a series of questions to the audience, and they could vote either A, B, or C on that question. Results were tabulated and displayed in real time on these large projection screens, and essentially these dots would animate in to represent people's votes. What they liked about it is that they could then discuss what the answers were, and more importantly, they could see how their actual sales team is responding to these answers. So it was some great insight and analytics on what the sales team was thinking. A secondary little component was this Ask a Question feature, where throughout the entire presentation, at any point, people could submit this form, it would come to us backstage, and we would push it to downstage monitors that was facing the speaker. So at any time, for example, the CEO, Marissa Mayer, when she was speaking, real-time relevant questions were coming up on these monitors. And more often than not, than when they were speaking, she would stop and say, you know what, we got a great question for Jeff. He wants to know where the future of search is going, or whatever it may be. And she took it right there on the spot. And this was very interesting because it was kind of providing that one-on-one interaction with a massive room. Obviously, she had a lot of questions, and not all could be answered during that time. We had it saved to a database. We gave all that information to Yahoo, and as a matter of fact, Marissa Mayer personally followed up with each individual question that was asked. So it was a really cool application and something that they really enjoyed. It was a small component in terms of cost of the conference, but it ended up having, if you can believe, one of the biggest impacts, which was a real excitement for us. I know, it's absolutely crazy. How on earth does a small company in Toronto get a job with Yahoo, who has hundreds of mobile engineers? Who would have thought? I certainly would have. I think the answer is we are nimble, fast, low cost, focused, and we are technically proficient. The last job I want to show you very quickly is something that we actually did here in Toronto for a condo developer. Like most developers, they have a very specific goal of letting the audience or the customer know what their house is going to look like. Our task was to come up with an application to show them what it's going to feel like. So what we did is create what we called a sales maximization tool, where users could come up to this touchscreen, and beside this screen there was a series of samples and swatches. They could pick it up, they could feel the marble or the countertops, come to the screen, select, say, kitchen or bathroom, and they could start to see and feel what their kitchen was going to look like in these various upgrades. So as you can see, from like the dark brown to the white, it dramatically changes the look and feel of the room. And for a lot of developers, the sale of upgrades is a big deal for them. And if people can have the tool to make confident decisions, they are more willing to open up their pocket and make those purchases. For us, and for the developer, seeing is believing. And if you give them the confidence to really feel and understand what they're getting, they will do so. So I know that was a race through 4 very interesting, very different projects with some interesting company names. Sheldon kindly asked me to speak today because he has a keen interest in a young entrepreneur's foray into business. He also has been fascinated in the fact that I've had great success in the States and fairly slow acceptance here in Canada. So my pitch to you is simple, because I'm not going to miss this opportunity. My name is Jonathan Ingham. Our company is Phosphorus Media. Please come and see what a young, ambitious Canadian can do for you. I can make interactive digital media work for you, your business, your institution, your government. Simply put, come and see what digital can do for you. Thank you.